You met your partner on Tinder, or at work, or through a friend. 12,000 years ago, none of those existed. No apps, no bars, no dating, no marriage. So how did anyone find anyone? The answer is buried in 3 places on Earth where they're still doing it the old way. And it's not what you think. One has no fathers, another has multiple fathers for the same child, the third has no jealousy at all. In 2005, an anthropologist named Helen Fisher put people who were in love into an MRI machine and proved something disturbing. The thing you call love isn't what you think it is either. Think about what you assume is normal. 2 people meet, they fall in love. There's a ceremony, they sign papers, they share a house, they sleep with no one else, they raise children together for 20 years. 94% of human societies today have some version of this. It feels like how humans have always done it. It isn't. This setup is 12,000 years old. It showed up when farming did. Before that, humans existed for 200,000 years. For 95% of our existence as a species, none of this existed. No marriage, no nuclear family, no life partners. If you've ever searched for love as an adult, you've been doing it the new way, not the ancient way. In the mountains of southwestern China, around a lake called Lugu, live 40,000 people called the Mosuo. The Mosuo do not get married. There are no husbands, no wives, no fathers in any sense you would recognize. Here's how it works. When a Mosuo girl reaches puberty, she gets her own bedroom, a flower room they call it. From that night on, she chooses who visits her. If she wants someone, she invites him. He comes after dark, climbs through her window and leaves before dawn. That walk home is where the name comes from. The Mosuo call it a walking marriage. No ceremony, no contract, no expectation. If she stops inviting him, that's the end. If he stops coming, that's also the end. Nobody fights. Nobody calls a lawyer. The children belong to the mother and her family. They're raised by the mother and her brothers. Biological fathers may visit, but they have no rights and no responsibilities over their own kids. They're busy raising their nieces and nephews. Instead, wealth passes through the women, houses pass through the women, names pass through the women. This system has existed for more than 1,000 years. There's no widespread divorce because there's nothing to divorce, no custody battles because the question doesn't arise, no inheritance fights because the women already control everything. You were told that monogamy and marriage are the foundation of civilization. The Mosuo have civilization, they just don't have those things. Now travel to the rainforests of eastern Paraguay. There you'll find a people called the Aché. Until the 1970s, they were full-time hunter-gatherers. Anthropologists Kim Hill and Magdalena Hurtado spent decades documenting their lives. The Aché believe something that will sound insane to you the first time you hear it. They believe that every man who sleeps with a woman during her pregnancy contributes to making the baby. Not one of them, all of them. When a child is born, the mother names the fathers. There's the primary father, the one she was most committed to. And then there are secondary fathers. A child can have 1, 2, 5, sometimes more than 7 officially recognized fathers. All of those men are now obligated to that child. They have to provide meat. They have to teach the boys to hunt. They have to protect the family. They are legally and socially the child's father, in the same way the primary father is. This sounds like make-believe until you see the data. Anthropologist Stephen Beckerman studied a related group in Venezuela, the Bari. He found that children with 2 declared fathers were 16% more likely to survive to age 15 than children with 1. Among the Aché, multiple fathers means multiple protectors. The main cause of child death in their tribe is violence. 2 or 3 fathers mean 2 or 3 men who will fight for that child. What you might call promiscuity, the Aché call insurance. What you might call cheating, the Aché call good planning. The mother decides who fathers her child. She decides who is responsible. The child wins. Now go to northern Tanzania, to the savannah around Lake Eyasi. There lived the Hadza, one of the last true hunter-gatherer groups left on Earth, about 1,300 people. Their way of life has not meaningfully changed in tens of thousands of years. The Hadza have something resembling marriage. Pairs form. People sleep with one partner most of the time. They look like couples, until they don't. If a Hadza woman decides she wants a different man, she just goes to him. There's no announcement, no fight, no ceremony of leaving. The old partner notices. He moves on. No drama, no pursuit, no revenge, no jealous violence. The institution of jealousy as we know it, the rage, the surveillance, the possession, the threat, doesn't exist in Hadza culture. It's not because Hadza people don't feel sadness. They do. It's because their culture doesn't reward cruelty as a response to that sadness. In our culture, a man who controls his woman is called possessive. In Hadza culture, he would just be confused. Why try to control someone who wants to leave? Read that again. Jealousy as we know it, the obsessive kind, the controlling kind, the dangerous kind, is not a universal human feeling. It's a cultural feature. We taught it to ourselves. They didn't. 3 places, 3 different systems, but notice what they share. In all 3, women don't depend on men for survival. In Mosuo, women own the houses. In Aché, the band shares everything. In Hadza, women gather most of the calories themselves. In all 3, there's no private property to protect. No farms, no land, no inheritance. So there's no need to control whose child is whose. In all 3, the village raises the kids, not the couple. The child does not belong to 2 people, it belongs to a community. This was the human default for 95% of our species' existence. For 200,000 years, people did not pair off and disappear into private houses. They lived together, slept with people they liked, raised each other's children, moved on when they wanted to. Modern monogamy is 12,000 years old. It showed up when farming did, when we started owning land, when men needed to know which kids were biologically theirs so they could pass the farm down. Marriage is not human nature. Marriage is property law with a wedding dress. In 2005, biological anthropologist Helen Fisher did something nobody had done before. She took people who were intensely in love and put them inside an fMRI machine. She showed them photos of their beloved, then photos of strangers. Then she watched what their brains did. When you look at the person you love, the part of your brain that lights up isn't the romantic part. It's the ventral tegmental area, the reward center, the exact same region that lights up when an addict snorts cocaine, when a gambler hits a jackpot, when a smoker takes a drag. Love is not a feeling. Love is a drug. Your brain is producing dopamine, the same chemicals that get addicts hooked. When you can't stop thinking about someone, that's not romance, that's withdrawal. Fisher then separated love into 3 different brain systems that work independently. The first is lust, the sex drive, driven by testosterone and estrogen. It doesn't aim at a specific person, it just wants. The second is attraction, the obsessive, intoxicating early stage of falling for one person, driven by dopamine. It's focused, it's intense, it burns out. The third is attachment, the calm, deep bond with a long-term partner, driven by oxytocin and vasopressin. It's slow, it's quiet, it lasts. These 3 systems are separate. They run on different chemicals. They can be active for different people at the same time, which means it is biologically normal, written into the architecture of your brain, to be in love with one person, sexually attracted to another, and deeply attached to a third, all at once, without lying, without being broken. Fisher also found something else. Divorce statistics spike at 4 years, not 7 as the saying goes, 4. Almost exactly the time it takes for a human child to become independent enough that a single parent can raise them with help from a tribe. Your brain isn't built to love one person forever. Your brain is built to love one person long enough to get a kid past toddlerhood. The Mosuo, the Aché, the Hadza, they had no MRI machines. They couldn't have known any of this, but every system they built happens to match what Helen Fisher proved in 2005. They separated sex from romance from long-term partnership. They didn't ask one person to provide all 3. They didn't expect any pairing to last forever. They didn't punish people for desire that moved. We did the opposite. We took 3 separate brain systems and demanded that one person, for the entire length of an adult life, satisfy all 3: sexual passion, romantic obsession, calm attachment, forever, exclusively. Then we acted surprised when 50% of marriages end in divorce, when affairs are statistically the norm, not the exception. When people in long relationships report being lonelier than people who live alone, you are not a bad partner. You are not broken. You are trying to make three brain systems function as one. They cannot. They were never built to. This isn't an argument for polygamy. It's not a call to leave your relationship. It's not a recommendation to copy the Mosuo or the Aché or the Hadza. It's just information about what your brain is, about what humans actually did for most of their existence, about why the thing you call love feels so impossible sometimes. The ancient humans broke love into three pieces and assigned each piece a different role. We squeezed all three pieces into one person and called it romance. Their version ran for 200,000 years. Ours has been running for 12,000 and we are exhausted by it. If you want more videos that unpack the systems quietly running your life, subscribe. There's a lot more buried in being human.